girl named Hope is at her winter camp. She calls someone and says she found the number in her sleep. But just then, the call starts to get static, and she leaves from there. Finn is beating a guy in his school with his newfound strength. His sister, Gwen, asks him to stop, but he threatens everyone not to mess with him again. Gwen asks him about why he got into a fight again, and he says that the guy was mocking him about the grabber. Just then, a guy named Ernie comes there and says that he is going out to a concert later that night. He says that he has 2 tickets and asks her to join. Gwen agrees, but Finn says that he was asking her out for a date. He also says he doesn't like random guys messing with his sister, but she says he is a really nice boy. Finn is out there smoking in the middle of the night. But the horrifying visions of what happened 4 years back still haven't left his memories. Gwen comes out and asks if he is still having those nightmares. But he dismissed her by saying he was all right. Gwen has a nightmare. She sees a young boy going to a winter camp, but the grabber comes there at night and stabs him to death. It seems as if he is trying to send her a signal. Just then, she gets up from her sleep. She suddenly hears the phone ring and goes out. She opens her door and looks out at the house where her brother was held hostage for years back. Just then, Finn comes there and wakes her up. He says that she was sleepwalking again. She says that she had a bad dream, but Finn ignores it and asks her to go to bed. Gwen keeps on reading about occult practices and becomes the subject of bullying by her classmates. Ernie comes there and says that he has stolen a deck of tarot cards from his grandma's antique shop. He says that he heard from his parents that she used to have visions, and maybe she could use those cards to put it to the test. But Gwen avoids the topic as it makes her a subject of unnecessary attention. Finn gets out of store, and just then a phone rings near a booth. He picks it up and says that he can't help them. But the phone was out of order all this time. Gwen has a nightmare of another boy in the camp being murdered by the grabber. But before dying, the kid carves some letters on ice. She starts to sleepwalk and follows the ring. She finds a decapitated body lying outside her house. She immediately rides her bicycle and reaches the grabber's house. She gets inside the basement and finds the phone ringing. She picks it up, and it happens to be the girl that we saw in the first scene. She also had a dream where she found the phone number. But Gwen says that she found some random letters. But before the conversation can escalate any further, the call gets disconnected. She turns and finds Max, Grabber's brother, who says that she shouldn't be there. Just then, both of them hear someone coming downstairs. The phone rings at that moment, but she snaps back to reality by Finn calls her. He says that he saw her sleepwalking and followed her there. She tells him everything and says that it was their mother who called her. Finn says that it was just a dream and they should leave. But Gwen notices that her socks are still soaked in blood. The next morning, she tells him about Camp Alpine and says that they should go there. She says that he can get a job there as a counselor, but he says that they shouldn't put so much emphasis on her dreams. Just then, Terrence comes there and says that their mother used to work there when she was young. Gwen is now determined to enter the camp to put her nightmares to an end. Gwen is going to the camp with Ernie, but at the last moment Finn decides to join them. Before leaving, he asks Terrence not to get drunk and to stay sober. On their way through the snowy mountain, they see that some cop cars are looking for something. Ernie says that the roads are so bad that he can't see anything. Finn decides to run in front of the car and asks them to follow him. On their way, a lady stops them and asks them to follow her. They finally reach the car, and a man named Armando lets them in. He says that the camp has been canceled due to the storm, and they're stuck there for a while. The siblings are separated as males and females can't live under the same roof. Gwen is a bit spooked out as she has to stay alone. Gwen has the same nightmare about another boy dying and marking an alphabet. She gets up and hears a scraping noise coming from under the bed. She looks down, and one of the dead boys comes out. Slowly, all the dead kids that have haunted her dreams start to come up and attack her. Finn is smoking outside when a phone rings in a booth. He picks it up and says that he can't help them. But it keeps on ringing, and he picks it up again. He hears Grabber's voice from the other end. The doors get shut, and he is left locked inside. The Grabber says that he is coming for Finn, but he just hears Gwen scream and runs to her. He wakes her up from her trance, and she says that she is losing her mind. He takes her out to the boys' dorm. She sleeps next to Ernie and prays to Jesus. She tells him that she got her dreaming powers from her mother, but it drove her to madness, and she doesn't want that to happen to her. They're about to kiss, but get interrupted by Finn, who is in the same room. The next morning, Gwen tells Finn that she has told everything to Ernie and he is going to help them investigate. But he loses his mind and says that she shouldn't have gotten him involved. She retaliates and shows him the scars that she got from her dreams, and they need to do something about them. They are having breakfast when Armando introduces them to his niece, Mustang. He He then asks them about why they wanted to join the camp. Gwen says that her mother used to be a camp counselor and shows him a picture. He recognizes her and says that she was a beautiful person. Before leaving, he asks them to call their parents on the phone. Finn asks him about the phone outside, but he says that it's been dead for decades. Finn tells Gwen that he got a call from that phone, and it was the grabber. Just then, the phone rings again, and he goes to check. He picks it up, and it's the dead kids. He says that Finn needs to find out the man who killed them. They suddenly start to bang on the booth, and Finn shuts the call. Terrence talks to his kids, but he is having the urge to drink again. Gwen goes to Barbara and Kenneth and asks if they can get a history book on Alpine Lake. But Kenneth says that there's no material like that. But Barbara is a strict Christian and says that they shouldn't dwell on the past. Gwen says that a lot of kids were killed and they should investigate that, but Barbara says that it's against God's will. Gwen curses her and leaves from there. Gwen has a dream again, and she sees her mother Hope. Hope also used to get the same calls from dead children, just like her son. Just then, a dead kid shows up and Gwen runs behind him. She finds out about how the grabber killed all those kids in the middle of the jungle. She wakes up and finds her mother outside the room. Finn wakes up and hears the phone ringing. He takes out Ernie with him. He says that he's going to pick up the call, and Ernie has to take care of Gwen. He picks up the call, and it's Grabber. He says that he is back to avenge his death. Ernie goes to check on Gwen, but she is not inside her cabin. Gwen follows the boy and ends up in another cabin. She follows a light that is coming from another room. Ernie wakes up the camp members and says that Gwen is missing. The grabber says that Finn made him kill his brother, and now is going to take away what he loves the most. Gwen reaches a room, and the grabber comes out of the dark. He tries to attack her with the axe and starts to choke her. Ernie goes there and finds her choking on her own. The grab sees them and throws her away. Finn hears her scream and runs to save her. The grabber picks her up in the air and throws her against the wall. He tries to burn her alive, but Ernie stops him. The rest try to help but get attacked by the grabber. Just then, Finn shows up there and the grabber leaves her. Gwen sees him for the first time as he vanishes in the dark. The siblings tell everyone the truth. Barbara suggests that Gwen is possessed, but she snaps back. Mustang joins her and says that all of them have experienced something supernatural there. She mentions the dead kids that she saw in her dreams. Armando says that their names were Felix and Spike. She also mentions that she saw a kid who was burnt. Armando says that the police found the kid's remains, and Gwen shouldn't know about the details. She says that his mother came into her dreams and asked her to join the camp. Finn also tells them that he was the boy who killed the grabber. Gwen says that it was the grabber who attacked her in the kitchen. Armando shows them the picture from a year the kids were killed. He says that the cops gave up, and he's been trying since that day to give justice to their souls. Suddenly, Finn recognizes a man in the picture and says that it's the grabber. Armando says that it was the maintenance guide, Wild Bill Hickok. Gwen says that his initials were WBH, the ones that she saw in her dreams. Armando says that the incident started happening in 1978, the year when Finn killed the grabber. Gwen says that his spirit is killing the kids as he gets power from their trapped souls. She also mentions that their bodies are frozen under the lake. Armando recalls that Bill used to take the kids to Lake Morrow for rides. He must have buried them there. Gwen says that if they dig up the bodies of the kids and bury them, then the grabber will lose his powers as well. Armando says that the next morning, they will go to the lake to dig up the body. Armando is at his office when his radio suddenly turns on. He looks out and finds that someone has made a snowman. He goes back to his work, but the radio turns back on. He hears the grabber talking to Finn. He picks it up and says that his game is about top end. But the grabber says that his name is not Bill, and the light turns off. Armando turns on his torch, and suddenly someone throws a block of ice on the window. It starts to form a face, and the grabber says that he will take his revenge. Armando addresses him as Bill again, but he says that it's not his name. Finn is smoking outside when Armando joins him. He says that Finn isn't as strong as he says he is. Deep down, he is scared of losing his sister. Finn agrees and says that he can't let anything happen to her. Armando promises that as soon as the sun rises, they will put an end to this, and his sister will be safe forever. The next morning, they start their search. They clean the snow throughout the area, but don't find the dead bodies. They go to bed, and Finn says that both Erie and he are looking out for her as she sleeps. Ernie comes there and says that his brother was Robin, one of Grabber's victims. Finn says that he spoke to Robin in the basement. Ernie asks if his brother is still around, but he says that his soul rests in peace now. Gwen had a dream that night about how the first boy, Billy, was kidnapped. She then gets up, but Finn puts her back to bed. She sees her mother in her dreams. Hope walks out of the house while everyone is fast asleep and drives to the grabber's place. She goes towards the basement and finds a boy being held there. She tries to run away, but the grabbers kidnap her and put her inside the car. Gwen sees everything and gets inside as well. They're inside the car, and Gwen says that she has figured out everything. Hope was investigating and found out who the grabber was. She was then kidnapped by him. They reached a spot, and Gwen discovered her mother's hanging body in horror. The grabber says that he was the one who killed her and framed it like she had taken her own life. He then takes out an axe and says that if she doesn't wake up soon, she'll die. She runs and reaches the basement and picks up the phone that's already ringing. The voice asks her to hide immediately. She runs and tries to hide, but gets caught. The grabber strikes her, and she starts to bleed in real life. Ernie calls everyone and tries to wake her up. Before the grabber can do something, another dead kid helps her escape. She walks through the lake and finds Armando investigating. He has found one of the bodies and tries to take it out. Finn is trying to wake her up, but it's of no help. Just then, the phone rings and she goes to pick it up. The grabber says that he isn't going to let them win and appears behind Armando. He breaks the ice and he falls into the water. He tries to swim up, but the grabber pushes him down and ends his life. Gwen tries to get out of the booth, but it's locked and she's stuck inside. The grabber then goes there and starts to choke her. The gang tries to wake her up, but it's of no help. The grabber slaughters her as she is on the verge of death. Finn screams and asks her to fight back. She uses her powers and throws the grabber away. She slowly approaches him and says that it's her dream. It was her choice to get inside the dream, and she can get out when she wants. She strikes him in the head and wakes up in the real world. She says that they need to look for Mando. They immediately run out and take him out of the water. H is still breathing and says that he has found Felix. Mustang goes to Barbara and Kenneth and tells them everything that happened. She says that they're going to look for the bodies in the morning and asks for help. Barbara refuses to cooperate, but Mustang says that if they are true Christians, they will come for help. Gwen and Finn are outside when suddenly Terrence shows up there. He has brought a truck and they can finally leave. But Gwen says that she can't leave before she has settled everything. Finn tells Terrence everything that happened. They say that it's time to leave, but Gwen refuses. She says that none of them can help her as they aren't even capable of helping themselves. She says that all Finn does is get high to avoid ever confronting his past and pretending like nothing ever happened. He breaks down in tears and says that he is scared and he can't help it. Terrence tries to take both of them away, but Gwen retaliates. She says that their mother was killed by the grabber. She figured the murderer was in the camp and told Terrence about it, which is why he remembered the name. She says that all this time, Terrence blamed himself for Hope's death, but it was the grabber all along. The next morning, they work tirelessly but find no trace of the other two bodies. They conclude that it might have drowned too deeply in the lake. Gwen sits on the cart and slowly falls asleep. She gets into her dream, and no matter how hard everyone else tries, it's of no use. She finds the grabber, Ice, skating towards her and jumps into the water. He attacks Kenneth and drags him away. Barbara tries to save him, but both of them are wounded by the grabber. He then breaks the ice and pulls the wire inside. Terrence finds that he is going to attack Finn. He jumps at Finn and starts to choke him. Finn asks Ernie to save Gwen. Terrence jumps into the water to take out their equipment. Gwen helps him, and they finally manage to drag the drum outside. The grabber is choking Finn to death, but he fights him off. The others have also found the skeletons inside the drum. Gwen is finally ready to face him. The grabber tries to attack her, but one of the dead kids stops him. He gets up and finds all the boys that he had killed. Gwen jabs the axe on his head and says that he is powerless. She rips out his mask. He tries to attack her, but the corpses will not let him go. Finn also joins her and keeps on bashing his face on the ice. Gwen chops off his legs and throws him inside the water, where the kids will deal with him. Gwen comes back to reality and kisses Ernie. The family finally rejoices, and Gwen says that it's all done. Armando calls Colin's parents and says that they found his remains. Finn and Gwen are getting back together when both of them hear the phone ring. Gwen picks it this time, and it's Hope. She says that she is finally safe, and the kids have joined her as well. Gwen asks her if she is always going to be cursed like this, but Hope says that what they share is a gift, and she must cherish it. Before leaving, she says that Robin says hi to Finn. She leaves the booth and tells Finn about Roni's message. Terrence comes there and says that it's time to leave. They finally leave Alpine Lake after putting an end to their nightmares. So, that was the recap of the 2025 movie Black Phone 2. For more recaps like this, stay subscribed to the channel. And if you have liked this video, you may also like this.